Since times immemorial, the people of our motherland, India, believe that the land of one's birth is superior to the highest heavens. And as we, the citizens of independent India, come together to celebrate 76th year of our independence on the 15th August 2022, it is time to embark upon a journey of our heaven, of our paradise, of our motherland, of our incredible India. Let us look at India through the eyes of IIITG.
I think it's a really interesting question to ask whether the largest democracy in the world is really free. Every day when I hear about pronounced issues in our system and society such as corruption, terrorism, crimes against women, I can't help but wonder if this is the kind of freedom our forefathers envisioned for us. We pride a lot in being able to celebrate 75 golden years as a free nation, but the question still lingers. Is it freedom in true sense? I guess we still have a lot of thresholds to cross to be able to call ourselves independent in true sense.
Independence is there. In reality, it's there. But how to exercise it, people doesn't know. Till what level to exercise it, that also people are not aware of. So people should know how to exercise their independence, how to put it into practice, how far they can go, where the limits are to their independence. And as well as after knowing these things, which comes as a basic part of every human who is born as his rights, the people at the 76th year of when we are moving into the next years of our country's freedom movement, we should also think about the duties that we would like to perform and that we should perform as a citizen. This is my honest opinion. In conclusion, I would tell there is independence in reality, but people are not aware on how to exercise it. So let there be clarity at this 76th year on how to exercise our independence, so that there will not be any further question whether we are really independent or not.
Independence. Independent in what sense? Again, the question is, what do we mean by independence? Now, as far as economic independence, maybe that is the main issue about independence. Economic independence is nowadays less throughout the world because the world is interconnected. We are dependent on other countries, and because of the market system, production is done where it is cheaper and more efficient. And so not every country is producing everything. They are importing that which is cheaper, they are exporting something which is cheaper here. So interdependence increases. So that of course makes us more vulnerable. As you can see what is happening in the Ukraine war, where the sanctions against Russia has made Russia more vulnerable. And so now in fact unfortunately the world is maybe will close up, and that will be bad. So independence or lack of independence is not a bad thing. It is everybody should play by the rules. That is what is not happening now, and that is a problem.
Okay, I think we are independent, but we all are not utilizing our fundamental rights. Means for example, we girls, whenever we think of going out at night, means we are not aware how to handle if something happens to us. We are not aware how to handle that situations. And so in some ways we are not really independent in some ways.
Before I answer the question, first of all we have to ask ourselves what do you mean by independence. So if you all Google, independence means that free or free from or not under control of any other person, a country or any other entity. And I don't think so we can ever have full control over ourselves or other things in the world, so I don't think so that we can be fully independent ever. Because as a human, as a social animal, everything about us depends on other people and the society as well.
See, to me, independence is when we set rules for ourselves, then we call it to be independent. When someone else set rules, regulations for us, then we typically term it to be dependent. So in that way, no entity in the world can be independent if he or she thinks that, without dependent on others you can leave. That is not possible, be it a country, be it a human being, or whatever it is. So in that way we are dependent, but as far as governance is concerned, rules and regulations are concerned, policies are concerned, we are independent.
Politically, we are definitely independent. We are an independent nation. But we need to be independent from a few other problems that are crippling around us. We need to be independent from poverty. We need to be independent from corruption. We need to be independent from depending on others for manufacturing. We need to be self-dependent. Those are some priority areas we need to be independent as soon as possible.
So I generally feel that this is a very important question to ponder upon, but most of us fail to do that. Why? Because we have fallen into that vicious circle of materialistic desires and sedentary lifestyle, where we worship the idols of goddesses, and yet crimes against women have been increasing alarmingly. We condemn bribery and corruption, and yet we split the 2,000 rupee note under the table. This insane hypocrisy, where people say that we come from two Indias, and yet we fail to come together to build a better one. We are independent, yet we are under the influence of that Western culture, forgetting our own. Hence, it will always be a very conflicting debate on the topic whether we are totally independent or not.
I don't think much of what will be the future of the country, but more of what I want the future of my country to be like. And I like to think of an India where people show the same enthusiasm to know about our culture and history, which they show to know about the current fashion and trends. Where we are free of corruption, where we have a better education system, where we have a sorted out reservation system, where the female population can roam around at any time in any state of the India without worrying about their safety. This is what I want my India to be.
Well, my thought about your question is that yes, we can maintain. It totally depends upon the individuality of everyone. Suppose we buy a car that is manufactured in some other country, but obviously when we buy a new thing, we do puja and all. That's how we maintain our culture. So yes, if we wish, we can surely maintain our culture.
So when your question seems to imply that so-called Indian culture is some static entity and the so-called Western culture is coming in. That is not how we should look at culture. Culture is something which is part of our society, and society changes with development, and along with it the culture also changes. What you are talking about is as Indian culture itself was not the same culture which was there in the 19th century or the 12th century. Obviously it was different, right? So same way our culture is changing, it is becoming different, and we are getting influenced by other cultures. The influence is more nowadays, not only for India, for all the world, because improved communication technology, the influences are more and faster. So we don't have to worry.
India is a vast country, right? It has many, sects, creed, different castes, right? So in a sense, culture is something that comprises of many individual things and as a collective thing, right? Now, if you want to define the culture in that context, yes, everyone again has a role to play, from the government to the family members. Everyone has a role to play. Now, I believe yes, we can do that, but in a sense, culture is also evolving. So what is termed as culture might be little bit evolved in tomorrow's world, right? So in a sense, yes, we can preserve, but with an increment to that or with a change is that, and we must adapt to the change. We must accept that, right?
Culture has two perspectives. As much as culture means conserving the things that we have been taught by generations and we have learned over the past years, but it is ever evolving as well. And I think as youth we can retain our culture as well as make modifications to it and make it better as per time.
So according to me, we the youth are actually retaining the cultural heritage of India. We are trying to bring up the trend of fusion. That means bringing together the classical form and the Western form. That means we are trying to promote the cultural heritage of India by bringing something new to it, thus showcasing the innovative ourselves.
I don't think I need to answer this question because the fact that the civilization has survived multiple millennia even after the fall is the very testimonial to the fact that Indian youth have always retained our culture. I'll say retaining our culture is also a part of our culture, and I don't think Indian youth will ever get away from their roots. Obviously, we have evolved over the period of time. What actually used to happen 2000 years ago is not happening today because we always evolve, but we never get away from our culture. We always stay true to our roots. And what I feel is that Indian youth are never going to really part away from their culture.
Culture have survived through generations. I believe Indian youth will retain most of the cultures passed on from previous generation with some influence from other cultures time to time.
I think the future of our country is very bright. We have many challenges in front of us, of course, and we are a poor country still, but we are heading in the right direction economically. I'm a little worried about maintaining the unity of the country because there are so many different cultures get together. So we have to be careful, make sure that we stay united.
Yes, currently in engineering domain specialty, we are progressing and always we are working in the advanced domain in the world, the topic they are working. In India also we are working in this domain, and parallelly we are progressing in several domains. In some field also we are ahead. I think our students and we can progress very much in this domain, and we have very good future.
I think it is in growing phase because we see that despite of COVID-19, we are still working technologies, we are innovating new things, and I believe we have to face some challenges and we are still facing, but I believe it is in growing phase in India.
My view on that is that it is nothing to do with Indian youth or Indian mind's ability or not being able to or to be able to. It's a product of the environment we are in. So as I had said, we are still a relatively poor country. So our infrastructure is not that strong. So a startup, say even in a city like Bangalore, the challenges it has to face are many more than if the same startup was in, say,
California,
San Francisco.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the difference that is coming, and therefore the success is less here. But as we go forward, it will improve, and we have an advantage of numbers. We have many more people.
Yes.
And therefore, we are likely to do much better as we go forward.
Okay, great. I'm a very optimistic person, so I see a very bright future of our country. But we all need to take part in that, and need to contribute to the best possible way. Everyone need to contribute.
In the field of tech, we have been advancing a lot, and I think in a few years we will be able to compete with the developed nations like America and China in terms of feasibility and economic way as well. Indian organizations such as DRDO, ISRO, etc. have been using numerous programs with the technological institutes, and those students and the professionals have been coming up with very advanced technological improvements in that.
India have made major strides in tech industry in past few years. In past few decades, India have presented genius solution to the world. With tech industry rapidly growing in India, I strongly believe in the upcoming years, India could become tech leader of the world.
So before answering you this question, I would like to ask you, could have I told you the same if I have asked you this question 50 years back, that India will establish itself as a nuclear power and will become a behemoth in space technology? Could have I told you the same if you have asked me this question 40 years back, that India would be a home to the greatest tech legends like TCS, Infosys, HCL, and so on? Could have I told you the same if you had asked me this question 20 years back, that the communication and information technology sector would enable us to predict cyclones and earthquakes, saving thousands of lives? Could have I told you the same if you have asked me this question 10 years back, that we will be able to send 104 satellites in a single rocket and make the world's smallest satellite? Would you say the moon is far if I tell you we made to the Mars in our first attempt? No, I don't think so. So now coming back to your question, where do I think India would be in terms of length? And all I can say is that we now know that the sky is not the limit anymore, and we are reaching for the stars, and the only direction to go from here is up.
So historically, as we have seen in India, people came from all over the world. Their culture could not influence us at that level that we have forgotten our own culture. We still live with our culture. I'm sure our youths will take up the better part of both East and West, and our culture will become even richer with the amalgamation of Western culture. But I don't think our youth will completely forget our own culture.